Hello, and welcome to Neverwinter Nights 2, and this will be part 88. Last we left off, we finished off Ammon Jerro's Haven, and of course, we lost a certain someone in the process because of Ammon's lack of discipline. Between parts, I have just sorted some inventory stuff, and I have moved these ritual abilities down here. Might be nice having them handy eventually. So let us go through the portal and have a little chat with Ammon, shall we?
He killed Chandra! Let's gut him!
We should be cautious. Even with the demons gone, this place is still tied to him.
If he does not surrender, we will fight. It is his choice.
If he had only waited to speak to us once since this chaos began, she would still be alive.
Is revenge what lies behind your words? Do you think I do not know that? Yet even knowing our conflicts, what could happen? You chose to bring her here. Just a girl, and the last of my line. But stay your weapons, your spells, lest this tragedy give birth to another. Kill me now, and this place will collapse, and we will all die. In my blindness, I have done a great wrong. Perhaps it is not too late to rectify it. And where one was lost, I still might save you all. Only a fraction of power remains in my haven, but it will be enough to take us from this place.
So that's Ammon Jerro. Not dead after all. Glad we made sure of that before running into his labyrinth of demons.
Yes, he is alive, and he is much more powerful than Tales ever indicated.
More powerful than some wizard, anyway.
More powerful than you, Aquara, and you would do well to believe me.
So what now? We imprison him? Throw him to the watch?
Tell me you're joking. He'll send the entire district to the abyss and then he'll come after us.
Justice must be served. But I am not certain he would find justice within Neverwinter's walls.
We could throw him off the docks.
I say we get what we need from him, then take care of him. No one needs to know.
He murdered Chandra Jerro, and he must answer for it. But we will not answer murder with murder.
I'm sorry. I still don't understand what went wrong. Was there no way to stop Chandra from doing what she did? It just makes no sense.
There is no sense to be made of it, Grobnar. Now we must simply accept.
It is our leader I am worried about.
The will of Ammon Jerro is broken, and this makes him dangerous. But no, it also makes him of use.
This is going to be an entirely practical decision more so than anything. I sort of agree with it, but I sort of also want him to face justice. But there's been too much death this day. I would prefer to show mercy.
Do not show Ammon too much mercy. One such as he may not find such things of use or comfort. Know that Ammon is the enemy of the Githyanki, and all he has done to fight the King of Shadows. It would be well for us to share words with him. If his knowing becomes ours, our strength increases. Speak to him and see where his allegiances lie.
Why did you bring her to my haven? Even though she was of my bloodline, you knew she did not have the strength to survive there.
You were supposed to be dead. We needed your research on the Silver Swords to fight the King of Shadows.
I have only recently escaped my imprisonment in the lower planes. And since then, I have fought to re-establish my stronghold and gather my forces, which you have ruined with your carelessness. As you know, the King of Shadows is growing in power as well. And the King of Shadows, he has won a victory against us this day without striking a blow.
What do you know about the King of Shadows?
I have fought the King of Shadows before. As soon as I became aware of the threat he represented to Neverwinter, to the realms, I fought him. I have made pacts. I have studied him, tried to learn his weaknesses and the extent of his power. And always it has been a war with few victories. Surely you know of the ritual of purification. You should know that I have performed part of the ritual myself already. Without it, we cannot strike at the King of Shadows, and the battle is lost before it begins.
Why do you want to stop the King of Shadows? It's such a dumb question, but it's whatever.
Why do I wish to stop the King of Shadows? Perhaps this is a question you should ask yourself, since your motivation in all of this has been unclear from the start.
Unclear? You're the one to talk.
Really? Then let us speak plainly on this. Does he threaten you specifically? Do you feel that the Sword Coast cast beneath shadow would be an unwelcome thing? All life turned to death and ghosts? Or perhaps you would simply sleep better at night, knowing that a twisted remnant of the Ilfarn Empire was as dead and buried as they are?
The people of the Sword Coast do not deserve the suffering and death that the King of Shadows will cause.
I think you will find we are of the same opinion on the matter, though I suspect our methods differ. I wish to stop the King of Shadows because he is a threat to not only the people of Neverwinter, but to the Sword Coast and Ferron itself. That is all, and while simple, it is the truth. Despite whatever onus has been placed on my actions, desperate measures were required to stop him the first time, and will be again. More can be saved as a result, and that is all that matters now.
I need all the help and allies I can get, so I accept that. For now.
That is the first piece of wisdom I have encountered from someone in Neverwinter's service for some time.
Let's just go through the... Why should we fight him at all?
The King of Shadows was once a defender of the Ilfarn Empire. While now evil and corrupt, it still holds true to its original purpose, to destroy all that threatens Ilfarn.
But the Ilfarn Empire fell long ago.
That is irrelevant. The threat to Ilfarn still exists. Their once ancient enemies, the Netheril, still live on in the City of Shade here in Ferron. And traces of Netherese magic can still be found running in the veins of many wizards and sorcerers within the realms. The City of Shade will be its first target. Then it will soon turn its attention to all who carry magic in their blood who live in Ferron, and wipe them out, one by one.
So what will it do when it's freed?
Once it breaks free of its prison, it will attempt to reach the City of Shade. Its journey will turn leagues of teeming land into a lifeless road to its destination. Even worse, it will feed on everything around it to gain strength to destroy the city. The Sword Coast, the Mare, Neverwinter. All these places will be consumed, and should that fail to move you, the King of Shadows will do everything he can to murder us both. After all, together we are the only ones with a chance of stopping him.
I'm familiar with the ritual to free him, but that doesn't seem to be enough.
The King of Shadows is no mortal creature. He is not human. More a force than anything else. But there is something that can harm him. Those shards you have, they are part of the Sword of Gith.
Kalakcha.
Once the King of Shadows was driven back by Githyanki warriors wielding hundreds, maybe thousands of those blades. But the Sword of Gith is more than a simple silver sword. It can wound the King of Shadows, like it did once long ago. A part of the blade got lodged in your chest in the battle in West Harbor when you were a child. And whether you like it or not, you are now that weapon. The more shards you gather, the stronger that weapon becomes. Together, we can stop the King of Shadows, and we must.
Let's just be approachable. Together.
I have completed part of the ritual of purification. If you kill me, the battle is lost as soon as my heart stops beating. Without me, you cannot win. Whatever punishments you think I deserve, I will suffer 1,000-fold, well beyond anything your small mind can imagine. But I will strike at the King of Shadows before I leave this plane, and you will have no stronger ally than I in this, both in knowledge and power.
I don't like it, but I need your help.
Then we must gather our forces against the King of Shadows. Even now, his presence is extending from the Mare of Dead Men. The high road has become impassable. My scouts, now vanished, reported legions of shadows and undead stirring within the Mare, and a sphere of darkness expanding from the heart of the swamp, killing all life it touches. We cannot stop him alone. With my powers weakened, my demons are no longer bound to me. You will need an army to face him.
He is a bit of an odd one, because, I mean, I sort of like this character, but I also sort of... I mean... He has quite clearly been rather brutal in his way of approaching things. By the way, his alignment is neutral evil, in case you're wondering. So... Anyway, we can chat to various different people, but there's not an awful lot to say to them, so anything else we can say to him?
Yes?
More questions?
No doubt.
I'd like to know more about your past.
Yes. I imagine the history books have little to say on the matter, aside from my many misdeeds, which is how I wished it.
The Jerro family was once part of the highest nobility of Neverwinter. When growing up, I displayed a certain aptitude for magic, especially the magic tied to the lower planes.
With little training, I was able to do spells well beyond my years, and well beyond any training I received in the academies and elsewhere.
Even so, how did you gain the power you have now, or had?
Gain it? With the lower planes, the power is always there. It just needs a focus and the will to control it.
In my case, it did not take long to master that power. The greater discipline came in using it sparingly so that few could see.
Why did you do that?
When one displays such power, it does not grant you freedom. It becomes a cage and makes you a target. You will be constantly beset by the problems of others, who will see your power as an excuse to compensate for the lack of theirs. That is never a position I want to be in, nor a philosophy I wish to encourage in others. Nevertheless, I displayed enough talent to be accepted by the Neverwinter court, to be the Jester Mage.
That seems a step down from your aspirations and talent level.
To make my intentions plain, it was a position of convenience and opportunity. One of many. The position allowed me to obtain access to many of the secrets of the Neverwinter, as well as free access to the Academy libraries, their vaults, and the court records. Also, I thought that perhaps my position might give me a greater voice when attempting to convince others of threats that beset us. But that proved to be an ill-founded conclusion.
You said that position was one of many?
Oh yes, I had several teachers. Many are dead now through unfortunate circumstances, but not by my hand, I assure you. I sought teaching not only in Neverwinter and Waterdeep, but also across the plains from infernal allies, and even from the Arcane Brotherhood in Luskan.
The Arcane Brotherhood?
Yes. Provided one can stomach their politics, they have a vast library of knowledge to draw upon. And I also wish to study their workings from within, in case I needed to defeat them one day. Oddly enough, it was by walking these dark paths that I saw the greater threats we faced. Shadows were growing stronger around the mare of the dead men. This was due to the growing power of the King of Shadows.
What did you do?
I attempted to warn the court of Neverwinter of this, but they were too busy vying for power and holding blades to each other's throats to listen. So I sought allies elsewhere, amongst demons and devils, and even the Githyanki. And I used all the power I had, which was considerable. And by waging a war, by the nature of my allies, I became something others feared. I even gained the name of my enemy, as you proved when you first encountered me in my haven. To think you believed me to be our mutual enemy. The irony runs deep, indeed.
If you're fighting the King of Shadows, why were you fighting us?
Was I ever fighting you? All I recall is you tripping across my path and my servants. Perhaps if you had sought another means to make your intentions known, we could have coordinated our efforts and none of this need ever have happened.
You see, this is the first time we actually met Ammon Jerro. He killed one of the Neverwinter 9, and the only thing he did was to say we are too late to save this one, summon some hellhounds, and disappeared. That was his attempt at communicating. Let's just go with the flow. Perhaps you're right.
Then we are agreed on the matter. Regardless, that is behind us now. We now know the truth. We must cooperate to succeed.
Let's just throw this part out chatting to him. I had some other questions for you.
No doubt.
Why did you choose to now to reveal yourself?
I have only recently escaped my imprisonment in the lower plains. And since then, I have fought to re-establish my stronghold and gather my forces, which you have ruined with your carelessness.
How did you get free?
Let us simply say I had help in the matter, and leave it for another time. It has no bearing on our present situation.
Other questions?
No doubt.
Why was it such a surprise that Chandra was alive?
How any of my kin managed to survive is a mystery to me. It seems the Jerro line is more resilient than I thought. But yes, I thought the Jerro line had been ended in the war with the King of Shadows. During the battles that waged near the Mare, near Highcliff, there was so much chaos, I thought what remained of my family was lost. Now, they truly are.
Sometimes the typing here is a bit... Was it the loss of your family that drove you to fight?
This useless tracking through old memories has no
enough,
bearing
fair
on
enough.
no doubt.
Fair enough. What do you know about the silver shards?
The shards, including the one lodged within you, are part of the Sword of Gith. Its history is a tiresome one. Ask the Githzerai if you would know more. She could no doubt recite countless metaphors concerning Gith and Zerthaman. The importance of the shards is that once recast into a blade, it is likely to have the power to harm the King of Shadows, and as such is vital to our quest.
Why only the silver swords?
I do not know. Perhaps their extraplanar origin is what makes the King of Shadows vulnerable to them. There may be some secret in their creation that is unknown to me, that may make them effective as well. Regardless, the King of Shadows is vulnerable to them, and to the Sword of Gith most of all.
Other questions?
No doubt.
You said you completed the last part of the ritual of purification?
I did, but before I could reach the other statues, the Shadow Reaver arrived, and even with my allies, I could not stand against him. Now each of us bears the necessary pieces of the ritual, and together we are the only ones who can harm him. Like it or not, we need each other if we are to succeed.
How can the ritual stop the King of Shadows?
If the Githzerai did not already explain, the ritual is designed to unmake the Ilfon Guardian, which the King of Shadows once was, and still is in part. But the Guardian is a shell, a vessel for what the King of Shadows has become. When it drew life from the Shadow Weave long ago, it became something else, something greater. Still, its outer skin is that of the Guardian. We must break that armor first, and once shattered, then we may strike at his essence.
When do you perform the ritual?
We must do it within the King of Shadows' fortress, as near to his heart as possible. Within the Mare of Dead Men, or the Mare de Lane as the Druidess calls it. There is where we must go.
But the mare is surrounded by a cloud that devours life.
Yes, I know. I do not know how to defeat such a shield yet, but we must find a way.
Once the shell is broken, how do you strike at his essence?
To do that will require the Sword of Gith, which you carry with you. The silver swords of the Githyanki are the only weapons I have seen that have harmed the King of Shadows, and the Sword of Gith is the mightiest of such weapons.
But the sword is broken.
That fact did not escape me. We will need to remake it if we are to succeed.
Do you know how to reforge the sword?
No, but it is something we must discover, and soon. I do not believe reforging the sword will require all the shards. But as I have never done such a thing, I do not know for certain. The Githzerai who travels with us may know more. In that, she may have some use.
What does your ritual power allow you to do?
When the time is right, I will show you, not before. Part of power comes in knowing when to keep it a secret, and sharing it only with those you trust.
Okay.
No doubt.
I think this will be the last round of questioning. Where did you get the Sword of Gith?
Some secrets I must have. But suffice to say that there are eyes throughout the plains that see more than I.
Never mind, let's move on. And on that likely rather boring note, I just wanted to... I mean, we've been spending an incredible amount of episodes hunting this guy, so I wanted to give him a chance for his place in the sun. I think Ammon Jerro is a very, very interesting character because he does a lot of crappy things, but there is something, dare not say perhaps likable, but approachable about him. I don't know whether it's the voice doing it, but whatever the case, I shall end this part here, and when we come back we will progress the plot, which is of some importance, I assume. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.